Hello. How's it going? Baby. Ba, 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 ba. How's it going, Batty? How's it going, Donut Man? It is a big wrench. It's not small, that's for sure. By design, though. That's the plan. Alas, I have streamed again. How you doing, Kelly? We back. We back for another stream. You know how it do. It's been a while since I've streamed, actually. I'll probably be here for an hour or two. Pretty slow and sleepy week. How you been? I've been pretty good. Pretty good. People liked episode 2 by the looks of it, so that's pretty nice. So I'm keeping the momentum, getting episode 3 on the way. Just got off work. Thought I'd get some animation in before bed. How's it going, Python? How's it going, Fairy? Sounds good, Donut. Who needs sleep? Yeah. I will need it soon. But we got some time. Got some time to get something done before bed. Not gonna lie, you got good character designs. Appreciate it. I try. I'm always speaking negatively about my stuff because I think that's how I grow. You know? So when I'm thinking about new character designs, I'm like always just feeling like I'm lacking, but glad they resonate with somebody, you know? Favorite characters, the adorable traffic cop lady and the other sister. Heck yeah. The other sister, her name is April, and she is my favorite. For sure. Do 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 do. Seeing a lot of blue lighting in the Skifters episodes. What color lighting would you use besides blue? Got some gummies. Heck yeah, dude. Yellow, the yellow and pink are the best ones. For the record, now you know. I am sticking to a specific lighting / color palette. Less because of a preference and more because of a limitation. As an indie animator, I don't have a ton of time and resources to do a lot of things and a lot of set pieces and a lot of like crazy stuff, you know? So one of the ways that you can get around this is by, or at least the way that I do, is if you limit your plot and story to a time or place in which there isn't a ton of set pieces moving around, you can save yourself a lot of work. If I did like a ton of different planets and a ton of different like stuff, I'd have like a ton of sets to model, just like a bunch of extra work. So there's a benefit in writing a story that kind of just takes place on this ship sailing through space that kind of allows me to not have to make like a ton of set pieces, you know? So the fact that things are samey in terms of like the set pieces is less of a preference and more of a limitation of my resources as an indie animator. You gotta know your limit and create within it. Yeah, exactly. So I've introduced Damper and Max. They're important pieces of the story. But there won't be any other characters getting added to the Skifters ensemble just because it's just too much work. I don't have the resources to do it, you know. But I like it. I like it that way. I just have to, make some compromises in terms of like the concept of what I can do. I've come up with quite a few stories that are just like, oh, this would be great, but it's just like too much. It's too bombastic. Like I don't have the means to actually do it without a team or something. So those ideas usually get scrapped. So that, I can make something that's realistic. That sounds depressing, but it's not. It's more just like, I'll start writing something with the intention of making it independently, because that's what I like to do. And then like the scope of what I'm writing just becomes too grand, and I'm like, okay, look, this is no longer practical for me to do by myself, and then that idea gets either throttled down or canned. But that didn't happen with Skifters. Skifters is definitely ending up the way that it was originally conceptualized, which is a good feeling. And an even better feeling that people are vibing with it. People seem to be into the show, which is dope. Is it pressuring to have such a huge audience? No, not really. I don't think so. I have never had an audience this big before. Obviously, I'm just growing. I've usually not really had an audience at all. It feels good that people are enjoying the show. But in terms of how it's affected my psyche, in terms of like pressure or like nervousness, that has not changed at all. I've always taken my work just as seriously. So mentally, there's been a bit of a change in terms of like my expectations towards like how the show is perceived, because it's like, oh, I know that people are going to watch. I know that episode 2 is at least going to get a few thousand views, which is like last year was unheard of for me. So my expectations are a little bit different in terms of like how I expect the episode to do, I guess you could say. But I'm not nervous or feeling like an immense amount of pressure by any means. 22, so we can actually move that back a little bit. Something like that. Just noticed a new profile picture. What'd you do to flip? It's funny, in the Discord server, someone named Sock did a fan art. Sock guy did this fan art in the Discord. It just made me laugh. It was so funny. I don't know why. It's just like, it's so dopey in the best way. So I nabbed it for my profile picture. Just fun. There's been a lot of cool fan art and stuff. It's cool to see in the Discord. How's it going, Landon and Emma? Thought you said you weren't going to do spoilers, but here we are. Welcome back. I also watched episode 2. Loved every second of it. Heck yeah. I'm not planning on doing spoilers. I guess this is kind of spoilers because we're streaming, like, work in progress. I'm not planning on doing like teaser scenes where I'm showing like released stuff. Like I feel like you seeing me working on this is not going to affect your enjoyment of the episode, you know? Whereas the teaser scenes were more just like here's a bit from the episode, and it's like this was not necessary. Was kind of the idea. So I definitely plan to continue streaming, despite the fact that I did make a post talking about how, you know, we were gonna chill with the teasers. But this feels less like a teaser. Like the purpose of this is not really that. This is more just to connect with you guys while I'm working, you know? Episode 2 kind of felt a bit rushed. Yeah, that's probably the biggest... That's one of the two biggest criticisms that I've been getting is episode 2 is a little rushed. Things are very, like, truncated and smushed together. A lot of the lines... a lot of things evolve really quickly. But that is by design. I understand that it's not for everybody. But... Sock must have been honored. Yeah. I don't know, but hope so. What's up? It's the girl who showed up when you were making episode 2, I think. How's it going, Nova? Yeah. A lot of people think that episode 2 was rushed. Not rushed. That's a bad word. A lot of people think that episode 2, the pacing was really quick. Not that the episode was rushed out, but that like a lot of things happened too quickly. Which is a fair criticism that I see what people think. I respect that criticism because it does happen fast. It's not wrong. But that's a criticism I don't really mind, or like, I don't know. I don't want to say I don't agree with it because the criticism's definitely valid. Like, I agree that it is quick, but I like that it's quick. It's quick by design. So it's not really like, it's not a criticism that I'm going to take into like implementing a change per se, if that makes sense. Like, I see, it's kind of like, dude, this dubstep is so loud and thrashy, and I don't like that. And it's like, yeah, this dubstep is loud and thrashy, but I like that it's loud and thrashy. You know what I mean? So, like, I get that it's not for everybody. That's fine. But there is... there's another criticism that I've been getting, which I agree much more so with, and I think it was a misstep, and that is that there's too much exposition and yapping and explaining, and I totally agree, and I do not like that. I think that was a problem at conception, and while making episode 2, I felt this to be the case. You know, it was no surprise. I wasn't like, oh my gosh, people think that there's too much exposition and explaining. I was like, there's way too much exposition and explaining. And then people started saying that, and I'm like, yeah, I know. You know what I mean? It's a lot. How's it going, Onyx? How's it going, Beyond? I do agree with that criticism, and it's a criticism that I dislike. There are lots of reasons why we ended up with that happening, which I could go into, you know, detail on if it's interesting, but it's more just, it's a conglomerate of so many different things that happened. The real thing that happened, and probably the biggest one, I won't go down the whole line. The biggest one is that the episode 2 was supposed to end when we got to this scene. So this was supposed to be the end of episode 2, which is obviously only 6 minutes in. And it wouldn't have been that bad. We have, you know, Damper explaining some stuff, and then some jokes, and then we have a bunch of action. Max shows up, and then the episode ends at the end of a fight. And this would have paced out really well. And then we would have opened up with Max giving his little monologue. And then we would have had more action, which I'm about to start animating for episode 3. Which would have been great. That was the intention. Based on how the episodes paced out, things just basically ended up being longer or shorter than I thought they would be. So then I had to effectively like add more to the episode because I didn't want to have a 6-minute episode and like a 15-minute episode. So I basically had to add more to the end of episode 2 that was not designed to be there in order to fill the episode out and make the episodes the correct length. And that was just like a misstep in the writing. By the time I got here, I was like, well, I can't just like, I don't want to put out a 5-minute episode and a 15-minute episode after a 10-minute episode. That's weird. I'm shooting for 4 10-minute episodes, right? I did want that to be kind of standardized. And that is the biggest reason why the episode feels like it's a lot of explaining is because it is a lot of explaining. And that is a learning moment for me. Definitely a criticism that I agree with, and one that is going to be taking center stage in my what do you call it? In my growth going forward. Definitely not in love with the amount of exposition that's going on. It's required to set up some of the moments that are going to happen later. It's more just upset. I'm a little disappointed in how it panned out for that episode. But learning moment. Overall, I'm pretty happy with how the episode went. It's more just about. I sound like I'm being hard on myself. I will always be that way. I always have been. I do very much like how episode 2 turned out. It's more just speaking all of these learning moments into the ethers that I actually move that way going forward. Didn't bother me at all, especially with the tone established. It shows me he's flashy and fun, so maybe we can quickly. Yeah. The whole idea is for it to be. I don't want to say the whole idea, maybe. But my preference of what I care about is way more about style over substance, which is what I like. And I think where this criticism is not necessarily bugging me, but I agree with it, is because when there's so much exposition, there's not a lot of room for me to cram style into this. It doesn't feel fast. It feels very necessary. While I was making it, my feelings were very, okay, I gotta do this exposition. I gotta do this. I gotta settle this stuff up in order for the style that I have planned to make sense. And my philosophy going forward, at least for my next project, is going to be not writing stylistic beats that require that need to be stilted by exposition. If I can't get you the story across via watching cool style, then it's not making the cut. I don't want anyone to explain anything ever. Don't quote me on that, because surely someone's going to explain something, but I'm learning a lot, and I'm going to get better, Yeah, I think that when you watch this show as a whole, as a single VOD, because there will be eventually be like an uncut, like single VOD that you can watch. It'll be the ideal way to watch it. You know, definitely, definitely learning a lot, and I'm definitely going to, like me speaking it out. It sounds like I'm being negative or putting my work down. I'm sounds like, you know, I'm being a fuddy-duddy. Like, oh, my stuff sucks. I don't think my stuff sucks. It's more just like I'm talking out where I've gone wrong so that I can get it right. And I think that's a good thing to do. I need this to move by 20 frames, which would be to say 865. Something like that. Something like that. You guys like my storyboard? It's pretty gangster. What can I say? I'm a professional. Heck yeah. Yeah. Really excited for episode 3, though. I think episode 3 is going to be the best episode of the series. I just have some really awesome moments planned, and they're going to be gangster. Gangster, gangster. Max Amos stole my heart. He's got Max swag for real, for real. I love Max. I love how he turned out. I love his, not his angry face. I like his angry face, but I love his soft. He's just such a, he's so dope. I don't know if you guys watched my, my Q&A, but I did a Q&A talking about how I want to take a simple design like Flip and just give it just a little bit more going on. And Max is almost there. He just needs a touch more. But like he's the perfect level of like just enough that there's like so much I can do with him, but he's still so simple and like charming. I really like Max. Speaking of which, let's get him in the frame. Dun, dun, dun. Oh. Boo. How's it going, record? Boop. 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 How's it going, Tank Engine? What's my favorite character? My favorite character is definitely April. Definitely April, for lots of reasons. Both design-wise and character-wise. When I made her, she was made relevant to her prop, which is this big bike. She is like 70% leg and then like 30% torso, you know? Because when she's riding on the bike, her bike is like so long, like it's so huge that her legs have to like extend to like crazy far away. So it ended up being kind of like, I wasn't going for that like 70-30 split. I'm trying to find a good image of her on her bike, but there's not really a lot of that in this episode. I wasn't really going for that like 7-30 split per se when I started designing her, but I was like, I need her to fit on this bike well. So she kind of got stretched to this point, and I think it just makes all of her features really dramatic. Her legs are super long, and her torso is really tiny, and her hair is really long, and like all the props are really huge. Like just everything about what she's got going on visually is really fun. And we haven't really gotten there yet, but we're going to. But her story stuff, in terms of like her motivations and like the amount of like stuff she's got going under the hood emotionally, is really fun. She's definitely the winner in my mind. In every way. I like April a lot. Hear me out, chat. Yeah, like Torque was designed first. Actually, I think Flip was first. I think I started with Flip and then I made Torque and then I finished Flip. But Torque doesn't have any of that purpose or nuance stylistically in mind. So proportionally, she's very generic. You know what I mean? Like everybody has a little bit of that going on. Those proportions and stuff being like kind of out of whack. And I want to do more. I want to do more like that. I want to lean. I closed it. I closed the April, but I want to lean more the April direction than I did the Torque direction moving forward. I want to have more reasons to have more dramatically proportioned characters. That will be, I'm going to be pushing that a lot harder in the next project. Yeah, absolutely, Unknown. Do it. The more the stuff gets shared, the better. Definitely appreciate anybody sharing it with a friend, family, streamer. I've intentionally set all of the licensing to my videos to be Creative Commons, so people can react, or people can like show it on stream or whatever, and they won't get demonetized. Because I want people to see my stuff. Art accessibility is important. So that was my long-winded way to say, yeah, share my stuff, please. Share it, repost it. Do the Mountain Dew. Don't even really care about credit. If people like it enough, they'll find me. You know? Share it up. Was Torque's face inspired by Vegeta? It was not. I was never a Dragon Ball person. I've seen very little Dragon Ball, and what I did watch, I wasn't a huge fan. Excuse me. Wasn't a huge fan of Dragon Ball. It's too slow for me. It's too long. It's like watching anime in slow motion. And visually, it's just not for me. I don't know. I was never a Dragon Ball guy. So, apologies for all you Dragon Ball fans out there. It's just, it's not my thing. It's funny, I get that a lot. The low poly comment. But I've never... My stuff's low poly. Like physically low poly. Like you can see the polygons. Like that's not a lot. You know, I know it's low poly, but my intention was never to like try to capture a low poly vibe. And despite the fact that obviously I know it's low poly, I'm surprised as to how often I get that that statement in a way, because that was never my intention. I never set out to be like low poly. Like I'm not trying to capture that essence. So it's really interesting. I get that a lot. That people think of it as low poly. It's interesting. I don't feel any kind of way about it. Like I'm not like upset that people think of it as low poly. It's more just like I never tried for that. So and like I got the I just got this Dragon Ball comment. But because it's like a one-off, it doesn't really feel like it's the majority seeing that. But a lot of people see the low poly coming out. It's interesting. 2000 cell shade divide. Fair enough. I'm not really going for anything. I'm not really looking at like reference per se. I'm being like it's easy to look at a low poly. Like I'm sure you could be like, I want to get a PS1 feel, and then you look at like PS1 gameplay and you're like, okay, what makes it look like that? Because you're trying to like emulate that style. But I don't really have anything for this. I'm kind of just going. I kind of just went with what looks good in my mind, and go from there. But I don't really have anything like that in mind per se. Max out merch where? Yeah, I wanted to see what if any merch at all would do well. Before I put, a ton of effort into like a design for everyone. So if the merch does okay, I'll probably make a max piece and a damper piece and a flip specific piece. Those are the 3 that I think that are missing. So, who knows? If I sell some merch before like episode 3 comes out, maybe I'll make some. No promises, but it's on the back of my mind. What are some pieces of media you enjoy, like shows and games and stuff? And Mario 64 nostalgia. Okay. The only important question that needed to be answered: would Flip unironically be a total weeb when it comes to anime? Definitely. He would be mad at me for not watching Dragon Ball. 100%. And pieces of media that I enjoy. Heck yeah, Broda. I'll take your your request to heart. It's already kind of on my mind, thinking about it. We'll see. Yeah. We'll see. That's all I can say. Yeah, media that I enjoy. I'm a big music guy. I'm a big album guy. I listen to music by the album. So I care a lot more about like albums than I do artists, I guess, in terms of music. But I like music. I really like a lot of Hiroyuki Maishi's works. He's the director of, more recently, Cyberpunk Edgerunners. But he works on Evangelion as well. That's another big one. Those are not my favorite shows per se. He directed Kill la Kill, which is my favorite anime, probably. He directed Gurren Lagann. Gurren Lagann was his directorial debut. Either that or Fooly Cooly. Fooly Cooly is pretty good. Gurren Lagann's pretty good. I like Gurren Lagann a lot, actually. But Kill la Kill is definitely my favorite. He also made a movie called Promare, which I can't show it because I'll get in trouble by YouTube. But if you look up any scene from Promare, you'll probably see a lot of what I'm doing shining through in that movie. That's probably the closest parallel that I would say. I'm not trying to replicate Promare per se. I do, however, think that would be the show that I would say is like the closest my show looks the most like. I've talked about this so many times on the stream. Hi, you're cool. Bye, and also thank you for skifting. Thanks for stopping in, Dracobatic. You're a real one. I've talked about this many a time on the stream, and I've ranted about this before. So apologies if you've heard me rant about this before. But I really dislike noise, visual noise. And again, I wish I could show examples, but YouTube will get mad at me. I don't like noise. I like solid color and high contrast stuff. I don't like. Obviously, I'm being picky because there's a lot of anime there's not a lot of anime that do this, or animations in general. But I don't like the drawn anime lines. You know what I mean? What I mean by that is, again, I hate that I can't bring up an example. But let's say I was to do something like this. Which is how I used to do things before I kind of learned that I don't like this style. But let's say, in theory, that I did something like this. Display backface culling. You'll know what I'm talking about. Yeah, well, let's say I shaded it like this. Obviously, this looks like poo because I did it in 2 seconds, and this mesh wasn't designed to do this. But this would be more of a typical anime thing, right? It creates a lot of visual clarity as to where things are because now we have this black outline that tells us where things are. You could go through my entire project and put these lines on there, and it would look way more traditional. I dislike this very much. I think it's every pick a show. Everyone does it. It's so helpful. It's the way that we do things. You draw things with outlines, and then you use those outlines to fill with color, and you create your shot that way. Like, that's a great thing. You know what I mean? Yeah, thick outlines, Attack on Titan Season 1, you got it. The more visual noise you have on something, the more black, like scribbles and like cross-stitching and cross-hatching and gradients and like making things like look like kind of like dirty. That kind of stuff I don't like. The less of that you have, the better. So if you look at Promare, it's very like this. Like this, the sky is blue, damper is pink, flip is purple. You don't need black outlines to separate these things because I've intentionally made this style, for better or worse, you might not like it, but I've intentionally made this style separate all these things. You know, like it's very clear where things are despite the fact that we don't have these outlines, and that is it creates limitations. It's a double-edged sword, and some people don't love it. I get that. But this, when people combine, like, I love your style, it's like, and they can't put their finger on it, it's usually that's what's going on. Is it's hyper colorful to make up for the fact that we don't have these black anime outlines on everything, because I strongly dislike those lines, which is why I like Promare so much, and why my stuff looks like that, because Promare does not... It has those lines, but it doesn't lean on them nearly as much, and it also... It doesn't lean on those lines like most anime do, and when it does, they're not like classic, like pure black. Like they're like colored as closely as they can be to like the characters' like original colors, to keep it at a minimum. And I don't know, I have never seen an interview or anything about that movie. I don't know why they chose to do that for that movie or what. But I definitely prefer that kind of thing, which is why that movie resonates with me and looks like my stuff, because that's like, it's not because of that movie, but it's just a really good example of like, look, like it can be done. And I respect that movie very much. Definitely visually one of my favorite pieces ever. Can Torque just summon golf clubs, or does she carry it around? Because in the first episode she had her bag, and later she summons a club. Yeah, she keeps summoning clubs. Yeah, she has the ability to kind of like spawn it in. It does make it more visually pleasing, at least for your style. Thanks. Yeah, that's kind of the goal, is to make it so that like, I used to do it that way, like on some of my older pieces. Nothing that is on my channel right now. but I used to do the lines because it's very easy to look at what other people are doing and look at what people do, you know, and be like, okay, that's how you do it, and that's how tropes appear, and that's how, you know, stylistic. What is the word? It's like It's like standards. It's like, because it's not standards. It's like history. Like, that's how we've always done it. So that's how we do it. And that's like, that's not a great mindset to have. And there's always someone that's front running this new style, and then everybody kind of follows suit. Like Spider-Verse came out and it was super successful, and that was like a huge turnaround for the industry, because while I don't love how that movie looks, it was kind of like, look, you can have a movie that looks grungy and noisy, and we're not going for realism here, and it be successful. And now you have so many movies that are stylized the same way in an effort to like piggyback off of that success because it's trending. Like K-pop Demon Hunters would not look like K-pop Demon Hunters if Spider-Verse didn't look like Spider-Verse, you know? It's the same with that new like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie. There's that new Black Knight movie that people are talking about. All that stuff wouldn't look like that stuff were it not for Spider-Verse. So it's easy to be like, okay, like, you know, Dragon Ball looks like Dragon Ball, so we can make something that looks like Dragon Ball, and it's gonna work because Dragon Ball worked, and that's like a safe decision to make, which is great. Good for the medium. It's good for people that need that stuff. You know, I'm not clowning on any of those movies for being samey. If that makes sense. But my point is clearly you can do whatever the heck you want. You don't have to do what other people are doing just because it works. And there's always those front runners like Spider-Verse who are like, you know, changing the game. And I don't think that I'm changing the game here, but I had to break out. I had to break out of that, like, oh, like I was very much like, you know, I like Hiroyuki Maishi. What did they do in Kill la Kill? Like, let's make it look like that. What do they do in Gurren Lagann? Like, let's make it look like that. Like, what are they doing that I'm not? Because I was learning, and that is good. There's nothing wrong with that. You shouldn't feel bad if you're replicating, per se. It's a good way to start. But I had to break that because I was starting to feel like a hack, because it was very like, I'm just doing what I'm supposed to and not doing what I want, because I don't like these outlines. I don't like how they look. And then I took them off and I was like, I don't know if I'm making a mistake. I don't know if people are going to go for this, but they're not watching my stuff already. You know, my stuff is not doing well. So it's like, why am I banking on decisions that I don't like visually if they're not even working? So I was like, forget this. So then I ditched the anime lines and started doing things my own way. It's been great. I've been doing it like this for a long time now. I'm pretty happy with how my style's gone. Still working on like my movement being good, which I think is one of the biggest outliers for me that I need to improve on. But it's also hard when, you know, I don't have a ton of time. I'm not trying to make excuses, but that's my excuse. Just kidding. Yeah, I'm trying to work on my movement, making my movement, my characters, making them feel organic, making my camera movements less confusing and less obnoxious. The biggest place that I think that I objectively need to improve on is my writing. But Skifters is already written, so I can't really improve on that. as I go. But when I work on my next thing, I think it's going to be night and day in terms of writing a meaningful story and writing meaningful characters, you know? Yeah, exactly. Dark games is a really awesome offender of that. Is very like, look at PUBG. Now we have Fortnite. Now we have this. Now we have that. And then we have this. Look at Tarkov. And now we have this. Now we have this. Now we have open world games, 3D games, shooter games. It's like there's always trends. Like Post Malone changed rap, and now everyone's making Post Malone. And then it's like now this rapper's here, and it's like we'll always be following trends. That's okay, but I think you just can't let the trend remove your sense of self, you know? Like branching out from norms is good. It's a good thing. Yeah, the problem is like everyone's at a different point in their artistic journey, and replicating and looking what other people are doing and doing that is an awesome way to learn when you know nothing. So it sucks when you tell people like you need to do something different, and it's like I don't know how to do anything, you know. So it's important to kind of like know where you're at and know when the time has come to do something different and special. Yeah, you gotta transform it in somehow, and I think that's what separates, you know, the greats from the layman is you know, taking something and making it more than just something, making it more than like, ooh, it's Attack on Titan, but in space. You know what I mean? Like that should never be that should never be your. That's if that's all you got, you know, you're in trouble. You gotta have something more than just a, you know, a shell of something else. It's JoJo's but cyberpunk. Nope, you're onto nothing. How's it going, Imperial? So for any of your future projects, your character designs will be like April in terms of sort of exaggerated proportions. Yeah. I like it when things are exaggerated. I like it when things are not obnoxious, but like I'm trying to think of a good example. Like Flip is a good example of like everything is it can't get much much more crazy, and I think it could have maybe, and maybe that's where I'm made the mistake. But like the buttons on your shirt, if you got a button on your shirt, look at your shirt. Is it that big? Heck no. It's like a hockey puck. It's gigantic. I like that. So the contrast between that and his like skinny arms and his giant gloves, his giant head with his giant eyes and his giant hat, and then he's got this like tiny little like skinny torso with these giant overalls that are like buckling, like they're like clipping into each other because they're just like so baggy, packed into this like little boot. Like everything is dramatic. At least I tried to make it dramatic, and I want to push that further because I like that kind of thing. If you look at, I don't know, why can't I see anything? There we go. If you look at April, her proportions are very, I don't want to talk bad about Torque, but they're not as crazy, and it's meant to keep her mechanically usable. It's not super dramatic. It could be crazier. If I were to reference April, and I know that looking at it, it's a, I don't want to toot my own horn, but it's a good character design. I am happy with how Torque turned out. But if I compare her to April, you'll see what I mean in that April, next to each other, they are, April's a lot more dramatized. Torque looks crazy because her face rig is keyed out. But like, look at how laser tiny her waist is compared to her hips. There's a humongous contrast. It's like this entire space is dead in distance here. Like it's just like a huge difference. And then like her torso is like this tall. It's like so short. And I would argue it could have become a little bit shorter. If I could do this again, I would probably bring the top of her head to like here. And her legs are crazy long. Like next to Torque, like her leg to torso ratio is not as dramatic, which is fine. It's not fine. It doesn't have to be like this. It just has to be dramatic in some way. Like I like that her hip bones are pointed, like sharp. That is a cool dramatization. That kind of thing is like, no one's hip bone is that short. No one's hip bone could cut glass. You know what I mean? And I like that hers can, you know? So yeah, there's lots of ways to dramatize things. And when I was making everybody, April was last, and I was like, I wish I had this epiphany before I started making everybody else, because I could have pushed them. I think I could have pushed them further, but that's okay. But yes, I will be, when you compare these two characters, I will be leaning, to answer your question, I will be leaning more in this direction of trying to push these dramatic proportions and stuff further. If they become too dramatic, then they're not really usable. Max is another good example of like, he's pretty dramatic. This pose is not great, but like all his muscles and stuff are really crazy. Like his traps are sharp, kind of like Torque's hips. All of his muscles are super sharp. Like his triceps are really sharp. He's like, look at that. Shwing! Like I love like how dramatic everything is. If it becomes much more dramatic, then moving them in a human way becomes challenging. So it can't get that bad. It can't get too much bigger than the way that April's gone. But I want everyone to just get a little bit more attention in that direction. I think Torque is more normal looking compared to the characters' designs are not normal. Yeah. I think that Torque's a great design, but I wish that I could go back in time and push her a little further. And I plan on doing that with everybody moving forward. Ooh. If Max drove a car, it would definitely be like a muscle of some kind. It would be like classic, like he's like a Charger guy, you know? Yeah. Something like that. I'm not familiar with the distinction of Australian muscle cars. I'm gonna Google it. Australian muscle cars. Never heard of this like distinction specifically. Okay. I don't know what makes these Australian, but yeah, like this kind of thing. Like I'm thinking like something that Dominic Toretto would drive, you know? Like I feel like he would be like you know, what the heck does Dom drive? Yeah, this thing. You know? Like that's Max's vibe right there. That's in my imagination. You know? Something like that. Heck yeah. Heck yeah. I posed a question on my Patreon page the other day that I guess we could yap about. For those of you who don't know, you can support the show on patreon.com, first of all. You can see work in progress stuff, and I do like little behind the scenes stuff, chat with the patrons. It's probably the platform that I'm the most avid at, yapping with the community. Anyways, I posed a question on there the other day. I forget how I phrased it, but let me drum it up. Let me find it. What did I say exactly? Where is it? Okay, yeah, it was while I was talking about it was while I was animating something. I was animating the shot of April falling off of her bike. Anyway, I was saying it was really fun animating that shot. It was really rad. I love everything about it. For those of you who don't know, I'm currently cooking up ideas for my next project while I work on Skifters. The amount of which I'm working on the Hanso Yari, which is April's bike, makes me feel like I want to make more bike/huge vehicle prop stuff in future projects, which begs the question, where's the line between style and trope repetition? At this moment, I feel like I want to write more bike/vehicle stuff, simply because I don't feel like I'm done with it. I have so many more cool things to do here. Despite the plot, universe, and characters being very different, would writing more bikes in be lazy, leaving a space for the viewer to say, wow, more bikes, not very original? Or would it simply be a part of my style to a point where you feel connected with me and my taste as a viewer? At the end of the day, I'm going to do what's fun, even if some find it repetitive, but certainly people don't feel it's repetitive when every animation has, let's say, a colorful palette or characters that talk. So at what point is something niche enough that it's a repeating trope? You know what I mean? So like, if I had, for those of you who haven't seen Skifters episode 2, there's a scene where Max shoots a bullet at Torque, and she deflects it with her golf club. And she spins her golf club around and juggles the bullet, right? She's juggling the bullet, and then she sends it back at him with a club. If I did that again, right? If I made a new project that wasn't Skifters, and there was a character with a golf club, and they got shot at, and they juggled the bullet, and they sent it back at the attacker, you would think he already did that. If you'd seen Skifters before, you'd be like, he literally already did that. Like, how could you do that again? Like, I would never do that again. There's no way. I would never do that again. That's like a special moment for for this cartoon that I will never do again. If I did that again, you'd probably feel cheated as an audience member. You'd probably be like, what the frick? Like, this is just lazy. Like, you literally did the exact same thing twice. You know? That's lame. I wouldn't do that. So, at what point does something become that is so niche of a thing to do that you would know that I did it again? But if I had a character who had a goal like this character does in a new animation, you wouldn't think that. You wouldn't think, oh, another character that's trying to do something. How original? Because you know what I mean. It's so broad that, like, of course there's going to be a character. The character talks. He had a talking character in his last animation. Like, boring. You would never think that, because like that that, you know, it's too broad. So at what point is something, like, where's that line? You know what I mean? That's the question. I feel like I don't. It's more just like an interesting, you know, thought experiment. I'm not looking necessarily for an answer. I'm gonna do, you know, what I want. But like in relevance to that Patreon post, it was like, if I had another character with a big bike and they did, you know, not the same stuff that April's doing, but they did similar stuff, like, would that be, you know, too samey that you'd feel like, what the frick? Or would it be like, you know, just a part of my style at that point? At what point is it no longer unique or interesting? Like, how broad does an idea or concept have to be before it's lazy, you know? When is Skifters coming out? Yeah, I don't know. I read that like 10 times over before posting it. I don't know how I messed that up. If you did it again, but it ended a different way, the first throw the audience. Yeah. Have you seen the short animation Samurai Blue? I have not. Interesting. Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing yet next. Like fully locked in. But I'm still certainly circling around like the desire to like do stuff with like big props like a car and a bike and yada yada. It's just like an interesting, because I'm sure everyone's like line is in the same place. Or everyone's line is in different places where it's like some people would be like boring and some people would be like, oh, nice, more of this, you know? Still have them drive a chopper. There you go. That's one way to do it. Yeah, I wish I could talk about it because I like talking about, you know, my ideas and stuff. But I don't want to. I'm still so far from knowing for sure what I'm actually doing. So I don't want to like jump the gun and being like, this is the idea I'm thinking about, and then it totally changes or whatever. Because I always feel like more pressure to like stick with my ideas when I've told people about it, because I'm like, oh, I told them I would do that, even if they don't really care. It's like a weird thing that I have. So it's like, I don't really want to talk about it until I'm like definitely sure what I'm doing. But yeah. Oh. a scale of 1 to 10, how do you feel when someone makes a fan art of your characters you made? 10. Feels incredible. Best feeling in the world. No question. No question, best feeling in the world. And I'll tell you why. I have made a lot of projects in the past that nobody cares about, or nobody cared about when I made them, and that's fine. I want people to watch. That's kind of like why I'm doing this. But I'm not going to, I'm not gonna, I don't know what I'm trying to say. I'm not gonna lose sleep if, I'm just not there yet where people really care about what I'm doing. And now people are around, obviously. You guys are here. People are enjoying Skifters. It's the first project that I've had where, like, people are really into it. People have watched my old stuff, but not to the capacity that people are watching Skifters. Anyways, when you make something and people are like, this is cool, and then they kind of move on with their day, that's fine. I'm glad they watched it. I'm glad they liked it, but, like, it didn't really do anything. It didn't really do anything to them, in a way. But when someone makes a piece of fan art, that is just the ultimate, it's the ultimate compliment in that someone saw my thing and cared about it enough, and it affected them enough that they didn't, not only were inspired by it in some capacity, but they sat down and put time into, they thought about it, and they had to, like, people that made fan art, they had to, like, go into the animation and be like, I need a good shot of flip from the side so I know how to draw this this whatever. And that is, like, the coolest thing ever. Like, someone cared enough about my piece to be like, I like Skifters, and I need there to be more Skifters content. There's not enough, so I'm gonna make some. That is just, like, the ultimate compliment. And then when you see people, like, make, like, Skifters fan art, it's like, or whatever fan art of whatever you're making, seeing what pieces of their character design are worth replicating is really cool, because it's like, I know what Torque looks like. I've spent a lot of time looking at her character model in working with her. But I'm biased because I have that experience. So, like, if I were to close my eyes, I would be able to list off all the things that make Torque's design Torque. She's got one golf glove and one driving glove, and she's got, like, the frayed jean ripped collar, and, like, I can list off all the stuff that makes her to me. But, like, what parts of those make her to other people? Because some stuff gets left out and some stuff gets replicated really well, and it's like seeing what these characters look like to other people, like what makes Torque is different to everyone else. So it's cool to see, like, what pieces of that live on. That kind of thing is just, like, so cool to just, like, people like my character enough to put the time into, doing it themselves. Really gangster. There's so many reasons. Those many reasons and more are all great reasons why that is just, like, such an awesome feeling. More awesome than anything else. It's just, like, people like my stuff that much. That is such a cool feeling. Sorry, I'm not reading chat. I'm busy yapping. Heck yeah. Make stuff, yo. Making stuff is gangster. Doesn't matter what it is or what level of skill you have. That was another thing I was going to say about the fan art, is it doesn't matter how, skilled someone is. It's always cool when people make art of of my stuff. It's just cool. Flattering. Very flattering. Very good feeling. And before Skifters, I never had fan art. So that's another level of like, I made it. They like this one. We're doing something right. It's cool, like hearing your ramblings. Heck yeah. You can definitely get me going, that's for sure. It's funny, I actually had this kind of conversation with a coworker of mine tonight when I was working at my job. They're working on their music theory degree. But she doesn't know what she wants to do with her degree yet. So I was like, because she's studying music, and I was like, I'm sure you get this question a lot, but like, do you know what you want to do, like when you're done? You know, like I was like, do you know what you want to do with? Wait, oh, what layer do I want this wrench to be on? I think we're gonna get weird with it. Yeah, we're gonna get weird with it. It's fine. Okay. I was like, what do you want to do with your degree? Like, do you know yet? And she was like, I don't know what I want to do. And I was like, I assume most people that got into something like that, you know, would have been like, I like music and I don't really know what I want to do with it yet. But I know that I like music, so I'll take music theory and just figure it out. Which, you know, I respect. And she was like, yeah, that's exactly what I did. Like, I'm just trying to figure it out. Which is fine. But I didn't actually do that. My mindset was when I went to school or whatever, when I got out of high school or whatever, my mindset was like, I want to tell a cool story. But I didn't actually know. I didn't have a medium in mind. Like I didn't care about animation. I didn't want to be an animator. I was like, I want to tell a cool story. And it didn't really matter if it was like animation or film or comic or music. Like I didn't have a medium in mind. I was just like, or making a game. That's how it started. I was like thinking about making a game when I didn't know anything. And it was like, I want to tell a cool story. All right, how am I going to do it? And then I just kind of picked the medium that I was most interested in at the time. But technically, I never sat around and was like, I want to be an animator. It was like, I thought of a story that I wanted to tell. And I was like, I want to tell this story. How do I do that? And then I picked a medium that worked for me. Oh. Well, if you ever have something to drop, hi Remni. If you ever have something to drop or share, feel free to join the Discord and drop some stuff there, because we have like a little art sharing zone and a critique zone where people are always sharing stuff. So, loved episode 2. Thought Max Ammo Was there some bounty hunter who's a good guy, dude? Heck yeah. He's pretty chill. My brain keeps coming up with ideas. Yep. Been there. It's hard sometimes to deduce like what ideas are worth actually executing on, you know? Can be overwhelming at times. Does writing count as art? 100%. Anything where you've made a creative decision counts as art. That's all right. You don't have to be able to do it all. I can't draw. Like I'm an animator, but I can't write music, you know? I'm not good at that. But I don't feel invalidated as an artist because I use someone else's music on my project, you know? There's so many writers out there that are very talented and next to none of them are animators, you know? Or filmmakers. That's why there's writers' departments. You don't have to be able to do it all. Yeah, my brothers are really talented with drawing. I never could get a good handle on it. I didn't try super hard to get good at drawing. But it just, I don't know. It didn't really come to me very well. And hence, I don't draw. Hence, my storyboards look like this. That's the next shot we're gonna do. Wow. I mean, I could rip through here and there'd be like spoilers, but I mean, is that a spoiler? Can you guys know what you're looking at? Wow. Really amazing drawings, me. Really cool. Yeah, I can't draw. I mean, I could draw if I tried harder, but I don't practice drawing. Dude, Salem, you should watch, if you haven't already, you should watch Promare, if you like vehicles and stuff. It's really good. There's big motorbike, big fire engine, muscle car, motorbike, all like important set pieces of that movie. Really good. Big recommend. It's one of my favorite movies. It's visually my favorite movie, but writing-wise, probably not. As a whole, probably not. But visually, just like breathtaking style. So freaking good. So freaking good. Oops. Copy. Paste. Promare, Promare, P-R-O. I'll write it in chat. Promare. Really good. Big recommend. Where's the Discord link? Oh gosh, I'll put a fresh one in the chat. I don't know where it resides. It's hiding on my it's hiding in my channel somewhere, but there's a fresh link. Heck yeah, baddie. Promare. Just visually, just like, whoa, so good. Amazing. Gorgeous. Gorgeous. Less brown, but let's copy that. See how that looks. Less brown, more red, and a little darker. So less brown, more red, and a little darker. Something like that. Place footage. Okay, that looks good. Maybe we give it just a touch more. Something like that. Something like that. Now, let's delete that. Delete that. Delete that. And render this again with new colors. You ever plan on making any horror animations? I do not. I shouldn't say that. But I shouldn't say that I wouldn't, that I won't, because I might. However, I don't watch horror stuff. I don't really get it. Being scared or being grossed out or being shocked or being like depressed or sad, these are not positive emotions. And thus I find a hard time understanding what the purpose is of capturing them. You know what I mean? I don't really get it. And surely it's me not getting it and not that it's bad. Because clearly it's me not understanding. Because lots of people like horror, and lots of people like, you know, sappy, depressing stuff. I just don't really get it. I don't really get. It doesn't. I don't want that. Like when I go to a movie at the theater, being sad or being scared or being like those aren't good things. I don't want that. So why would I want to, like, the whole, whenever I hear people talk highly about horror, they're like, oh, they just do such a good job capturing what it feels like to be helpless or be sad or be like terrified or be hopeless. And it's like, okay, yay. Why do you want that? Why? I don't get it. Like I don't know how to even talk about it. Like, I don't get it. There's so many things you could do that are good. It's like, I want to make people smile. I want to make them laugh. I want to make people rewind and go, that was cool, and watch it again, you know? I don't want to, I don't know. Maybe I just don't relate. I don't know. There's some sort of disconnect that's just resulting in me like not understanding what the draw is. But I've sat down to watch a scary movie maybe once or twice in my life, and it's very just like, why am I here? I don't get, like, what do I want to leave? What do I want to leave feeling? Like, I paid money to be here, and I'm like confused as to what I spent my money on. Like, I don't know. I don't know. Not for me. So that's why I say no, I won't be making horror stuff. But maybe my tune will change and I will understand and gather that understanding and appreciation. But right now I definitely don't have it. So it's like not something that interests me, I guess, is the best way to put, is the nicest way to put it. Because I don't want to, like I said, I don't want to go out here and be like, ooh, horror is cringe, like it's terrible, because I just don't get it, clearly. But in this moment, that's how I feel. Boop, 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 boop. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. Oh, crap. I totally forgot something. That's okay. Fair enough. Friends first to watch horror and didn't really get it. The sack night guys. Yeah, I think I'm done as well. Thanks for hanging out though, Donut. April's on the left. Yeah. And then he's gonna swap, so we're gonna be more like centered. Something like that. Don't hate it, we just haven't seen much to intrigue me. Yeah. The past is sort of feeling. Fair enough. I in that sense, I get it. It's. I guess I'm just not the target, because it just doesn't interest me. What are you gonna do when you live in a shoe? Anyway, our shot is done. I didn't play it through because the sound is going to be off, because I totally forgot about the sound, but we'll figure that out. I won't play the sound, but our shot is done. We might come back and tweak some of this later. But for the most part, I'm pretty happy with how it looks. I'm going to call it a stream there. So thanks everybody for hanging out. I'll see you all, some of you in the Discord, I'm sure. I don't know when I'll be streaming next. Kind of depends on how much I'll be working soon at my job. But until then, I bid you adieu. And yeah, thanks for hanging out. Bye.